You're listening to the Anime Brothers podcast, the anime podcast that always surprise pocket saying cha-cha-cha. My name is Matt, and I sell anime and anime accessories. And I'm joined with the boy who just ain't right, the incalculable Earthworm.
The Game Boy smells like the TV, but neither of them smell like the remote.
There's some milk in the fridge that's about to go bad. And there it goes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, this is an anime podcast. And what better platform to celebrate America's #1 anime, King of the Hill, or Uyosumi no Hiru. I guess I should have looked up what hill would be in Japanese. But anyways, what better platform to celebrate the return of America's #1 anime with its new season, King of the Hill Shippuden, than on our very anime podcast. Both of us, if you are longtime listeners, are very much fans of adult animation, and we'll pull out the King of the Hill quotables every now and then. So we are both big fans, and why not take a break from talking about Japanese anime where we now have to pay expensive tariff fees just to talk about some good old American anime, you know? So like, yeah, why wouldn't we?
Absolutely. Yeah. You give me any excuse to talk about King of the Hill, and let me tell you, boy, I'm down. I'm there. And it's like the fact that the Japanese people themselves have like we can kind of put ourselves in their shoes. They have the same discussions that we do, whole different culture, and they're like, it is better to watch King of the Hill in its native language because you get the authentic fucking dialects. And other people are like, no, I like to be able to wash a dish while watching King of the Hill, the sitcom that is supposed to be easily enjoyed. And I just think that's wonderful. And if that's not enough of an excuse for us, you know, who are we to gatekeep the Japanese from what they consider anime? I'm sure as fuck not going to do that.
We absolutely aren't. We can't gatekeep anything, but we can gatekeep this. If you want to support the podcast, go to patreon.com/Anime Brothers Podcast and donate for as little as $1 a month to get some cool things like access to a super secret Discord channel where we have super secret Discord chats, as well as just the smug satisfaction of knowing you're helping a little indie podcast afford bread for the day. We basically, for each episode, we require a loaf of bread. And if you do want to join that Discord, the link is in the show notes down below of whatever episode platform you're listening this to. And you also, if you're feeling it and you know you're just feeling it, you don't have to. You can go to my blog at animesery.com and go read my ramblings on anime. I haven't updated in a while, but guess what? I'm kind of going full depresso mode lately. So there's that. But speaking of things that are never depresso, friends, I was on Anime Summit just last week, but the episode just came out. At the time of recording, it's just out. We did an anime draft where we basically picked anime from 12 different genres, 12 genres and a free pick. And we just picked them out like a fantasy football draft, except it was fantasy anime draft, but not all fantasy anime. This is going on too complicated, Matt. But we did that. It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. I think you'll have a lot of fun listening to it. Obviously, Sam and Nick, great people. King's also there. Gundam Wing is still shit, King, and just in case you're listening, I don't think you are, but, you know, just Gundam Wing's still shit. Write that down. It's going to be important later. But, yeah, no, go listen to that. I'm sure that you've already listened to it. A lot of you are Anime Summit listeners, statistically speaking, so hey. But go check it out regardless. I had a lot of fun. And I also had a lot of fun preparing for this episode, because we're going to be talking about King of the Hill with a little bit of a focus on the latest season, the revival that just dropped on Hulu maybe about 20 days ago or so. But hey, we're not a topical podcast. We're just a podcast. But let's get some production notes out of the way. King of the Hill aired from January 17th, 1997 to September 13th, 2009, with 4 additional episodes airing in syndication from May 3rd to May 6th, 2010. It was originally a mid-season replacement for a show on Fox, and originally the first season just had like 8 episodes. Anyways, the revival season just dropped on Hulu on August 4th. It won multiple awards. The original series won multiple awards, including an Emmy in 1999 for Outstanding Animated Program for the episode And They Call It Bobby Love, and another Emmy in 2002 for Outstanding Voiceover Performance for Pamela Adlon for the episode Bobby Goes Nuts. That's the one where Bobby kicks everybody in the nuts. Who could have predicted that?
It's a good episode.
It's a great episode. It's an amazing episode. The revival has been teased as far back as 2017 when show creators Mike Judge and who the fuck is it? Greg Daniels? Yeah, Greg Daniels also did The Office. Went into meetings with Fox executives who declined to pick up the show or pick up any prospect just because they wanted to fully own the properties of new shows that they produced. The revival is currently expected to run for 2 seasons. We're both gonna. I know for me, for one, I'm crossing my fingers for more. But if we just get two good seasons where there's a nice little bow on everything and I get to see these characters off with a smile, then I'll be content. All right. So let's go ahead and dive into any experience we have with King of the Hill. Obviously, we have experience. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But how did you first kind of get into this show, Earthworm? Was it just like an Adult Swim thing or something else?
Not necessarily Adult Swim. But yeah, kind of the same idea. I think it was FX that really got me hooked into King of the Hill.
Mm.
I just remember it kind of being on for a while. I think it was actually on. I don't know if everybody had this, but in my little neck of the woods, on what is now currently the CW, what used to be the WB, they used to have adult animated cartoons in the mid afternoon. So at like 5 o'clock, you'd get King of the Hill, and then you get South Park for some reason before The Simpsons. I don't know what that was all
Jesus.
about.
Good Lord.
But I was watching adult animated cartoons like I was probably watching South Park at like 10 years old. Shouldn't be letting your kids watch South Park at 10 years old, neither here nor there.
No.
But it started off as kind of something I would watch while waiting for the shows that I found truly funny to come on. But I also remember it being like super. It was one of those like genuinely formative pieces of media because I
Mm-hmm.
remember seeing the episode where Hank is constipated,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like the first episode of King of the Hill I think I ever saw. And there was like the idea that he might die from it floated out, and that was the first time I ever kind of realized like, oh shit, you can die from not shitting. And that was I remember that stuck out very like that was a mild fear of like child me.
Mm.
But yeah, then cut to the WB waiting for it to come on. And then I finally moved in with some more family, and they had cable. By the time I was like 13, right around there, 12 or 13. So then it was on like they had fully syndicated FX. Like it just fucking ran on that cable channel constantly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd get home from school, and if Ninja Warrior wasn't on or something, I would go and I would watch that and American Dad and Family Guy and all the adult animated shows, and just really our generation's version of brain rot.
Yeah.
But King of the Hill was the most like substantial out of these. Like they'd had a story, it had genuine characters. It wasn't surreal or in any way, shape, or form. And I don't know. It's just it kind of where Family Guy at 12 years old, at 13 years old, you come back to school and you're like, hey, remember that Family Guy bit? Ha ha, Brian and Stewie. Am I right? Uh, I don't know. King of the Hill was always much more subtle, and it
Mm-hmm.
has much more of a lasting impact. Clearly, I mean, it's by far my favorite adult animated show coming out of America. You know, I like Rick and Morty also, but like this is just good. I love King of the Hill. But what about you, Matt? What's your kind of story?
So I actually have kind of like it kind of originates from the same place yours is. There were reruns that aired on channel 21. I think it was also our version of CW, as
Gotcha.
well as one that aired, I think, occasionally on UPN. But mostly, I remember King of the Hill or got into it because of Adult Swim. Like it would come on, it would be the prelude. It would be the start of the Adult Swim block, and that's how I would get into it because I liked it. I liked King of the Hill
Yeah.
as far as that goes. And eventually, what ended up happening, and this is gonna, it kind of made this latest season really emotional for me. Eventually, Dad and I would start watching the animation domination, the animation block that Fox would have on Sundays.
Okay.
And it was like 6 episodes. It was like 6 different shows, 4 different shows, and we would start with King of the Hill because I believe King of the Hill led that block, and we would always watch it. And that was Dad's favorite of the four. Like he really liked the Family Guy, and he really liked Bob's Burgers towards the beginning of it, but he really
Like,
enjoyed King of the
yeah.
Hill, and that was the one we watched. I remember watching the series finale to Sirloin with Love with him, and that was a really weirdly touching moment, I guess. But yeah, it was primarily just the reruns that kind of captivated me, and I always defined King of the Hill as being opposed to Family Guy and those other shows because they are not. King of the Hill is not content with gut busting laughs. It's content with smile laughs. You know, those
Yeah.
laughs that you find pretty funny. Or it's more I wouldn't even say subdued. It's more of that humor where it's the absurdity of the real life mixing with what's going on that kind of gets you to some degree. But some of it is just pure witty comedy. And that's what I think has given it its longevity as far as both of us goes. Because like you go to some of those old Family Guy stuff, it's gonna be just. I don't feel it will have aged as well.
No.
Some of it obviously will have, but a lot of it I feel like it's not gonna have aged as well as it's gonna be. Oh man, this was funny when I was 13, but now it's just a little bit uncomfortable. But King of the Hill has never gotten to the point where I kind of hated the humor for what it was, you know? Now, when we actually break down some stuff from this latest season, there was some things I said, "Oh man, this is not this is not very King of the Hill," but I respect you. But yeah, no, that's basically my story going in.
I dig that, man. I dig that. It's almost like The Simpsons, like it was the original head of the Hydra, and you cut that off, and then you got like Family Guy that grew out of one end of the absurdist surreal version, and then you got King of the Hill that's like the realist, down to earth. This is because obviously, like The Simpsons is very much the progenitor of American adult animation. And I'm glad that that King of the Hill found its niche because I feel like there's a lot more Family Guy clones that I don't know. I think King of the Hill is like wholly unique. Like even the ones that have come recently, some I can't think of any of the names of them, but they try to work on the family unit. They try to like do that with like a little niche to it. It still ends up having more of a Family Guy flavor than it does a King of the Hill flavor.
Yeah, King of the Hill is more humanity based. King of the Hill is more these characters cannot be compromised in a certain way. I think that when I was doing a little bit of research, that at one point they had like character sheets, you know?
Yeah.
And, like character rules, characters will not do this, characters cannot do this. Like, and I remember one of them was like Bobby always has to be a certain amount of deadpan in his regular communications and stuff. Like Hank can never, like if Hank does something, he has to first have his morals compromised in a way where he'll do through it. He can't immediately just, And I think that's interesting because it shows just how character driven the show is. It's character driven humor. It's not a lot of just, and then Darth Vader came out and he started hitting the gritty. And then Peter said, remember that time when I met Saddam Hussein, Lois? Remember that time? And King of the Hill would never do that. King of the Hill might make a joke about like, something that's going to make you just go, oh man, what's going on? Like, there's only one person who's ever led this country to greatness, and that's the man Ronald Reagan. You go, oh man, okay, yeah, I see. We're supposed to laugh at a lot of this, in ways where we have to kind of process the joke, that this is a conservative man who's not conservative coded, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But like with King of the Hill, I'm sure earlier seasons of Family Guy would be easier. But it's hard to have any sort of what you might call an intellectual discussion about Family Guy. It's hard to be like, man, what do you think about Peter's like character or whatever? You can have those genuine conversations about King of the Hill, and I like that. The more we've done this podcast together, the more I've enjoyed kind of really trying to dig deep into the media. You find out the textual stuff, the metatextual stuff, and we can do that here rather than just being like, what about this bit? How do you think this bit aged? No, you can actually sit and we won't do it today, but I could have you sit here for an hour-long conversation about the nuance of the writing of Peggy Hill, especially up until like the last couple seasons, all of the characters started to flanderize a little bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But for after 13 seasons, 12 seasons, like that happens, it's going to happen. We brought it up before pod. Dale went from being a fairly grounded conspiracy theory character to being an absolute lunatic sometimes. But that's okay because, again, it's an adult animated show where we're choosing when and how to age people. And yeah, it's going to happen. Again, then the term Flanderization comes from fucking Ned Flanders. So we're playing in that ballpark.
Yeah, well, and I'm going to actually just absolutely blame that Flanderization that became more prone to making gags for the characters to go through. I blame in part to what Seth MacFarlane's comedy did to animation, really and truly,
Yeah.
because at some point, Family Guy crossed the line into just being purely, we've got to set up joke, 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 joke. These characters and who they are do not matter, and that's going to make a show that is character driven that at some point early on had a lot of continuity. Like King of the Hill went from story beat to story beat, not majorly. It wasn't like if you missed one episode of King of the Hill, you were like, oh, fuck, I don't understand why Bobby-san now has the Mangekyo Sharingan. It was just like, well, I don't understand why Luan's in this house now, but
Yeah.
it's fine. I'm okay with this. It wasn't anything like that.
Yeah.
But you get to a certain point where, and King of the Hill eventually, in my reading, eventually was canceled so that they could slot in the Cleveland show, like.
Yeah, we see how well that went.
I like the Cleveland show as far as the comedy, but it is not the crown jewel in the animation empire,
No, but I mean, to be fair, I mean, Family Guy has that repeatable formula where no matter what happens in the world, no matter what's going on, you can always just throw ridiculous jokes at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
I think at some point, King of the Hill would have had to end, you know what I mean? Or else you risk continuing to Flanderize these characters to the point where, Hank Hill it's just a walking robot that says propane grill, grill propane, propane cowboys, Republican.
Propane, cowboy, Republican, clean burning energy. Butane is a bastard gas.
He's right, though. I mean, I can't argue with him.
My dad says butane is a bastard gas. All right, this is led in. I'm sure we're gonna have more to talk about this, but we're leading in this episode because we wanted to talk about the latest season because we got to talk about it. It's coming out. We wanted to talk about it, so let's go ahead and talk about season 14, the latest season. So kind of just what were you planning on this to be going in? Like, what were you thinking going into this new season?
I mean, as with all reboots, revivals, whatever you want to call them, I start off with a heavy load of skepticism because while I did end up enjoying this, kind of spoil my thoughts there. I thought this was a very good season of King of the Hill. At the end of the day, I don't know that we needed it, Now, the fact that they executed it really well means that, like, I'm happy it's in the world. But it's more of like the chance, like, do we want to take that risk? Like, I didn't watch the Futurama revival, but I don't think anybody did. Like nobody had. I don't remember anybody being like, "Yo, this is the shit." But I have heard nothing but praise from the new King of the Hill. So either way, I'm kind of skipping ahead. Very, very skeptical when I heard that it was coming back. You're touching, I think to both of us, a very dear property, and it's like if they would have brought Hank Hill back and made him like a MAGA guy or something, like that would have really. I'm sure there's some people out there that would have been like, "Fuck yeah, brother, that's my Hank Hill." But like, that's not my Hank. You know what I mean?
No.
That's not the Hank that I know. I've had heated discussions, even though we both agree, with like Robbie and I think even you about like would Hank vote for Donald Trump, and it's a worthwhile fucking discussion, but would he be full cultist? No. So either way, bring in the conservative family American fucking show back in the political landscape that we were living in. I was very skeptical. I don't know Mike Judge's politics nowadays, so yeah, all of that played in. But then I saw a couple clips on YouTube and they were funny. And I was like, you know what, man? All right, let's give it a fucking shot. I was pretty excited after seeing like 2 clips on YouTube. I was like, all right, this at least has some of the spirit. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah, I've already kind of made my statement on the whole would Hank vote MAGA, and it was probably not. It was more of the moment that you put in Donald Trump, I could just see that episode going like, oh boy, a New York real estate mogul, and Hank just going, I don't know about this, but
I do think it was interesting how they didn't touch the current presidency at all. I didn't see if this was set in like, it must be set in modern day. The timeline was a little weird. I don't think it's a bad choice, necessarily. You know what I mean? I
Mm.
would have liked to see some ripping into him, but I think overall to placate whatever audience you might have on both sides, probably best to just fucking avoid the topic altogether.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where you look at Hank Hill and you know from his character arcs that you've seen over the past few seasons, he's going to vote Republican, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you look at Hank as being a rational conservative. He is a conservative character who will change his viewpoint and concede to things that are better or things that are different from his own original opinion. You
Yeah.
know, he is very rationalist. He's very old Republican, you know, like Reagan, the Bushes. I just cannot see him as part of the MAGA cult. And not just because I'm one of those people who, if somebody came up to me and they said, Hank Hill would hate you, and I'd be like devastated about that. Like, no, take that back. Take that back. He would love me begrudgingly. No, I just can't see it. And it's one of those things like you did have to play the middle of the field because you do not want to possibly alienate either one side of your audience. But also at the same time, he literally went to go visit the George Bush Museum. And I thought the whole bit was we didn't like George Bush because he had a terrible handshake. But I don't know. Maybe I'm the one that cares about lore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Again, after we're in the 14th season, after a fucking decade off, I guess some of that's, yeah, but you're right though. You are 100% right. Like he fled to Mexico for a minute and
Yeah.
almost didn't vote for Bush.
Well, I mean, there's so many things that, like, just to put pitnicks. I'm gonna pit just a pitnick for a little bit. There were some things I said, oh, my King of the Hill continuity says that's wrong. Actually, Hank and Peggy have been married longer than Con and Min. That was the whole bit from that one episode because Con said something to the effect of, it's about quantity, not quality. And about years married. And I was like, I hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
So I brought it up to you earlier saying like off pod, I was like, I have complaints. And I think that's where most of my complaints stem from, honestly, is not the execution, but more so the decisions that were made. There was some continuity issues. I still don't know how I feel about Hank Hill moving out of America. You know, that struck me as kind of weird.
Okay, so, you know, there is that line where Bobby says during this season, like, my dad loves three things: propane, me in America. And some days I was not above propane, you know?
Yeah.
If somebody invited Hank to go install propane to a country who didn't have any, he would do it. And that's where my rationalization came. If the Saudi Arabian government said, we need Hank to install propane at our major cities and stadiums, he would do it, you know?
Yeah, probably. I guess I just don't like the decision. You know what I mean? I know why it was done. It was to make Hank and Peggy more of a fish out of water in the world that they were coming back into. If they would have gradually grown with this world, it might have been a little bit different. But coming from a very conservative, socially conservative at least, place like Saudi Arabia, they were kind of more at home, and then it was supposed to be a culture shock thing. But even then, I don't think the culture shock thing was kind of dropped after a couple of episodes, and it just kind of flowed back in. I don't know. Maybe this is just me wanting some fan service here. I would have preferred if Hank was the owner of Strickland Propane. I think that would have been a very, very cathartic character arc, and you still could have had all but the first, like, there were a few bits that you couldn't do, sure. And if you wanted to send Hank to Saudi Arabia for a year, then I still think you could pull those bits off. You know, like you can still pull off Bill making new friends at the black barber shop. You might not be able to pull off the sight gag of him being like unhealthily obese in the beginning.
Yeah.
But again, I'm like you said, you know, I'm just the only one that cares about lore over here. What I shit on other people for doing about like Dragon Ball Z, being like, oh, but well, why didn't Goku just instant transmission him into the sun? I do that with King of the Hill, and I hate myself for it.
I don't think you should hate yourself for it. King of the Hill is a venerated property for you. You know, it's something that you really enjoy. I mean, it's something I really enjoy too. But I get why they did it. It's because we, the audience, haven't seen Hank in a certain, you know, X amount of years. So having him come back and being fundamentally grown with us, you know, makes him more of an endearing character for the audience. And it's one of those things that now I am glad that they didn't full on just say, this many years have passed since the season finale, let's age all the characters up. I'm glad we got to see Bobby, who I think was one of his one of my standout characters from this season. I love the Revival Bobby.
Yeah.
I love Revival Joseph, honestly. Anytime he was on screen, I was like, man, Joseph, in the original series, I hated you, but
You
you are
know how
so
hard it is to be a white guy?
that was so fucking funny. And the Bobby holding his finger up to Emmanuel as he's about to say something.
Yeah.
I was gut busted laughing. It's because it's everybody knows in this town except Dale and his son. It is so fucking funny that they persist in this lies. And I love when talking about Joseph, I absolutely adored the second episode or episode 3 whenever they're spying for the beer contest, and both Dale and Joseph are using similar techniques. It was so funny. It was so adorable.
Yeah.
It was great. I loved it. It was honestly like reconnecting with friends that you hadn't seen in a long time, who basically are unchanged in every single way, you know? I love that bit. But like Joseph becoming like honestly the deliverer of some of the best dialogue of this season. Led Dead Redemption. Redemption. Adored that. Honestly, but Bobby was one of my standout characters. I loved seeing their arc and how they operated Robotachain.
Yeah.
I love how that conclusion from the series its original ending, where he started to learn to love to grill, became an actual sort of chef aspiration for him. I think that's natural, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's better than him just ending up being a prop comic, but it's delightful to see.
Yeah. No, I think my favorite thing about Bobby was like they chose correctly his interactions with Hank, because they could have made him like meek and like, yeah, no, Dad, heard it. Or he had that perfect blend of, I didn't want to disappoint my dad, but he's a fucking grown ass man now, so he was willing to argue with Hank and step up to him and say, you know, these are the reasons I'm not using propane. All that I loved that, you know, because that's the character stuff that I want. I wanted to see them be able to connect on a man-to-man level. I thought that was wonderful.
It's also, Bobby also proves that this is actual anime because they used the same voice actress from when he was young as when he was old. Just like dude. Goku.
It's perfect.
And Naruto. It's
she
great.
Sounds amazing.
Oh yeah, no, Pamela Adlon, amazing.
I didn't realize Kelly watched the show Better Things, and she's the star of that. So I had known her face, I had known her voice in other context, but I had no idea until yesterday that she was the voice of fucking Bobby Hill.
Huh. I didn't know that either, actually.
Yep.
But I also didn't know Brittany Murphy was Luann. I thought it was a different Brittany Murphy.
Oh Jesus! That's while you so you brought up Luann, and maybe I missed it. I admittedly played a little bit of Horse Girls through a couple episodes.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do. Did they mention Luann and Lucky at all?
No.
Yeah, so that's a bummer, and that's kind of like, well, when I say the decisions that were made, those are the kind of things like, you know. That is that I see as mildly. I don't know. I don't know if I see it as unforgivable, but like, whereas I think it was a good decision to completely ignore Donald Trump, I think there should have been something paid to Luann and Lucky. I don't want to see them dead. You know, I don't necessarily want to see their characters having passed on, but something. You know what I mean? Like, they could be anywhere. They could be doing something. I don't know. It would be tough to find something for them to realistically, because they are kind of the most quote unquote like redneck of the bunch, but still something. Like an acknowledgement.
Yeah, well, I think it's because of the nature of how Brittany Murphy died. You know, it was a little bit of a tragedy. And I think it's just, I don't know why, because they did end up recasting. You know, they ended up recasting Dale when Johnny Hardwick died, and I think it is mostly just the nature of they'd already written the character for Johnny Hardwick, and then he passed away during mid-record, and I think it's just one of those things like they didn't want to include Luann because of the nature of how of everything. Luann is easily is probably the easiest character to have written out of the show as part of the main cast, just
Yeah, I guess.
because she
Yeah,
is she's either a strictly A plot character for the original series or she was doing B plot shenanigans.
yeah. No, I don't. I guess I just would have liked some acknowledgement that she existed. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? I felt like where some decisions I thought it was the right move to play it safe. There, it's like Luann was there the whole time. You know what I mean? Brittany
Hmm.
Murphy recorded throughout the entire fucking run of King of the Hill. Tom Petty recorded for the entire run of King of the Hill. Well, not he wasn't there, but he recorded up until the end.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that it would have just been like, a simple one off. Like, it would have been nice to see Luann and Lucky, but they're in they're in New Mexico now for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah, they had a photo of Luann and Lucky on the wall in one of the rooms to acknowledge them, but no, they didn't do a single, hard. This is where Luann or anything is. They just kind of politely ignored them.
Yeah. Yeah. Another decision that I think I know why it was made. I don't love it was the fact that Bobby and Connie were like having to reconnect.
Hmm.
You know, I thought it made for some good moments, but I thought that there would be no way. Like just from where they were in the series, I'm like they would have given it a shot in high school. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? They would have given it a shot at really dating in high school, or they would have stayed like they were just the best of friends. I completely understand why they made that decision because it's a lot easier to write a couple at the start of their relationship growing, budding, rather than being completely flowered and trying not to wilt. I get that. But yeah, again, me being nitpicky about one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, well, I think it's also the fact that I'm not fully, I probably don't fully understand what happened, but it was the fact that Hank and that they moved away and they eventually just fell out of touch. Honestly, of all the characters from this new season, the one who I found to be the biggest detriment to the show was actually Connie. I didn't enjoy Connie as she got
Really?
older. I don't know, the ethical non-monogamy stuff. Like, I could see Connie doing that. Like, I could see that being the path that she took when she was left to just, indulge her father and keep up appearances, with that environment. But honestly, her trying to connect with Bobby, that didn't really resonate with me wholly. Truly, I kind of
Interesting.
found Connie became a little bit insufferable. I really liked Willow. It's just a shame that Willow didn't last very long.
I'm the exact opposite. I where I thought the decision was frustrating, I thought again the execution was good because I was very endeared to Bobby and Connie's relationship. But I think that's something that I carried through from my childhood,
Hmm.
kind of seeing them when you're a boy and you're like, I like girls, and you get to see a normal ass looking boy like Bobby Hill kind of I mean, for all intents and purposes, whatever getting some for a 12-year-old is, Bobby was. Like Bobby was fucking popular with the girls and Connie was his like childhood best friend, which is a trope that I love in a lot of other media and I'm very endeared to. So I'm wondering if these things might be like interconnected.
Mister, this is an anime, but it's also anime over there. It's like, I love the childhood best friend romance route.
Dude, I'm telling you, dude, Bobby had a little bit of a harem going on throughout this show. They're just not all at once.
Yeah. He got a girl from Lao. Those are the princesses of Asia. I don't I don't know if that's a good statement, but whatever, let's roll with it. I liked Willow just because Willow is a type of woman that I've seen here in the South. And that is this girl who is like punked up, veganed up, gothed up, and then has a southern crispy fried accent. And I love that because I've seen these types of people in my life. And I think they're adorable when they're over here like, meat is murder. And then they go like, y'all don't know nothing about no vegan lasagna. And I'm like, oh, you're so cute. I love you. So I guess that's probably one of the reasons why I like Willow more, but that's just because that's the type of person I think is so adorable here in the actual devil's ass crack South.
Sure. Sure. But I think that's like that's a pretty common through line for us is that you like a love interest that's going to bring a little bit of spice, a little bit of fire, you know what I mean? And I
Mm.
like somebody who's like, "No, that makes sense. They should settle down together and start a 401k."
Well, I mean, I just like characters like Willow who honestly are bringing new dimensions to Bobby's relationship, you know?
Yeah.
More so in the fact that she's the type of person that and I think everybody who saw that episode saw it coming that Hank was going to get endeared to her in some capacity, kind of like Debbie from American Dad, where she knows a lot about guns, and Stan we know a lot about American animation over here.
Yeah.
Where Stan goes, "Oh, you know a lot about guns. You're so great. I like you more than I like my own son." And when Willow knew all about the Cowboys and started becoming Hank's favorite in the flag football game, I said, "Oh, that's fun," because Hank would probably judge somebody based off their outward appearance, and then if they actually had the capacity to enjoy the same things as him, he'd say something to the effect of, "It doesn't matter. It's just about
Yeah.
enjoying the things we love mutually." And
I think
so
he's done that multiple times in the original
Yes.
series. Like
Yes.
a lot. I don't like you. Oh, you share a value that's similar to mine? Awesome, dude. What's up?
It's literally his relationship with his brother Junichiro. You like this? Yes, I love it. It's my life. I love robotics and robotics accessories. That's just like me and propane. Bonding moment.
Right?
So-
Unless the one time that doesn't apply was the Christian rock band that Bobby like fell into.
Yeah.
You're not making what was it? You're not making Christianity better. You're just making music worse.
Yeah. It was a pretty outstanding line. Yeah, well, Willow was fun, but obviously you can't shit on what's that dude's name? I don't know his name. I don't know football. Jones.
God. Oh, Jerry Jones?
Yeah, Jerry Jones. Shat on Jerry Jones' desk. That's also something I did not like. I did not like the perverse some of the more edgier stuff in King of the Hill. I mean, it wasn't that edgy, but they whipped out they said shit at one point, and I said, hard swearing in my King of the Hill? Get that out of here.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I didn't notice it.
I noticed it, but I'm also just to prep for this episode, I did watch basically my highlight reel of episodes.
Yeah,
Also,
okay.
while I got it here and I'm thinking about it, big shout out to Alex from the Antibodies podcast who allowed me to use their Hulu for this. This episode wouldn't be possible without you. Thank you, Alex.
Hell yeah, go Alex.
Go, Alex. Alex, you get a 10 out of 10 for me for this one because now I'm also watching Medalist. So, Hulu's great. It just sucks that I do not want to watch it with commercials. Just hate commercials.
Oh, that's a rough one.
It is. It's so
also,
rough.
Alex, if you're listening, I don't know if this was on Matt's must-watch episodes list, but season 4, episode 18, my favorite episode.
Which one is that?
So, the one where Bobby is the like reincarnation of the Dalai Lama.
I think that was on my list.
I absolutely love that episode. I think it is like a perfect encapsulation of all of the beautiful things of King of the Hill. You know what I mean? Like it's we can talk. We don't have to get on this tangent now, but like it is my favorite.
I've got my list pulled up real quick because I sent it to Alex and I just included the names. I've got only stuff from up to season 6 because that's the stuff I could remember. But here's my recommended personal fave list for anybody at home who cares. From season 1, Square Peg, Shins of the Father. Season 2, Halloween, Jumpin' Crack Bass, Texas City Twister, The Final Shinsult. And I put a note next to this. Honestly, any episode about Cotton Hill is recommended.
Yep.
Propane Boon, season... I don't have anything from season 3, which is weird. Season 4, Aisle 8A. Season 5, Ho Yeah, Spin the Choice, and Chasing Bobby. And then season 6, Bobby Goes Nuts. Those are my recommendations for anybody who's not seen any King of the Hill to go in on.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. These are good episodes. Honestly, just fucking start from episode 1 and just let it run. Because while there are standout episodes, the consistency is really there more so than so many shows that I've seen. It's that subtle fucking undertone of comedy that lets you just find something in every episode that's like, that made me think about something and giggle.
Honestly, I don't recommend too many season 1 episodes just because I do not like Hank's season 1 design where he's got those lines under his eyes and his head's a lot thinner. He looks so different from the expressive Hank you see later on where he gets bigger eyes and he becomes more square.
Yeah.
Kind of looking more like your typical Southern dad.
That's like I think that's every fucking adult animated American. I mean, for a while it was. I don't know. I think the new ones are starting to come out with budget, but it used to be such a, hey man, here's a fucking flip book. Make us a fucking animation, and we might give you 6 episodes. So that's I don't hate it as much, and I can't remember. I think there's some good episodes in season 1 at least. Wasn't that the episode where Hank made Bobby smoke like a carton of cigarettes and then got addicted to cigarettes again in episode 1?
Oh yeah, Keeping Up with Our Joneses. I don't really like that episode, honestly.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that episode just because of how it kind of treats Hank and all that. But I do like any Cotton Hill episode. I adore just because I find Cotton Hill to be repulsively hilarious.
He's so funny, dude. He's so
He's
funny. No, he's Japanese. No, he ain't.
Hey.
Looks him up and down. This man's Laotian.
Aren't you, Mr. Khan? It's one of the funniest things from King of the Hill is just Khan's blank stare into space after that.
Dude, like, and that just, it paints Cotton Hill as so much deeper than anybody would have thought. You're like, oh, he's just racist. And it's like, no, I don't know what he is, but it's not just racist. I promise you that.
He's a racist equipped with knowledge, like that he can identify different people from different parts of Asia. That's like, man, that is some weaponized racism.
He needed to know who he had to shoot and who he did not have to shoot. All right, man.
I mean, and it's so funny just because I guarantee you, before King of the Hill, Americans would not have known where Laos was. They would probably have put it in Europe, but Khan and Min put Laos on the map in America, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, but I think that's cool because King of the Hill really could have just been a shallow comedy and thrown in, Chinese neighbors or something to that effect, because that's just what Americans knew. But they were like, no, Laos is a place. It adds more character to add these aspects into the monotony of an average person's life,
Yeah, and that's how you get the bit. That's how you get the making fun of the conservative values in that episode where he moves in. So are you Chinese or are you Japanese?
Japanese, yeah.
Because, if you were to make him Chinese or Japanese, one of the two Asian nationalities that, a back alley Texan man would know, then it's not like you don't get the fucking them just not understanding. So, but it goes to show that, like, Mike Judge, I'm not gonna like say anything about like him as a moral man or whatever, but as a person who like is creating a show for us to watch, he's gonna put that extra time and effort in. You know what I mean? He's gonna add a couple layers to make it fucking worth our while instead of just let's laugh at Asian stereotypes. He's going to actually put a little bit of work in, at least to be like, well, there's some nuance here, and let's laugh at the uncomfortable social aspect instead of just haha Asian.
Yeah, that is very true. There is dynamics to the humor in King of the Hill as far as it goes to just not just limiting yourself to what is expected. But let's get back on topic a little bit more and talk about Khan in this new season with their new voice actor, who I think is absolutely, and this is not me being hyperbolic, I think they're terrible.
Yeah, it's a tough discussion, especially for two white dudes to have. But when you told me about why he was replaced, it made a lot of sense. You know what I mean? The original voice actor was a white dude doing what could definitely be seen as an Asian racist stereotype. Like I said, Mike Judge isn't a fucking saint, so here we are. But I also did, for better or for worse, whatever it fucking makes me, I also did not enjoy Khan's performance whatsoever. I thought it was just, again, as somebody who has watched the show so many times and can hear Khan yelling at me, calling me Khan Jr. when I fuck up, it didn't vibe.
I mean, here's the thing. This is my most, they ruined it because of woke opinion ever, that this change really kind of ruined a little bit of the dynamic that Khan had. You know, because, and I think some people would argue that Khan would have changed over the time that passed, because the thing about Khan originally was that Khan had like a solid 7 out of 10 grasp of the English language. So did Min, and that was kind of their flavor, was that this talks like how your uninformed friend would think that people from Asia might talk, Yeah. But the dude who did Khan's voice, like, I'm not hating. I'm not a voice actor, so what does my opinion really matter? But they just sounded like just some pissed off white dude the entire time. It made me honestly legitimately dislike Khan, which was a thing that never happened before, because I thought Khan was so deplorable and so annoying that he was fun to watch and a fun character. He was so
Yeah.
obnoxiously stupid and so obnoxiously vain and egotistical that he was fun to see more of. But this guy, I just did not vibe with him when it turned out that he had gotten a divorce with men. I said, you know what? That's probably for the best. Men's too good for you.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. So I guess while we're on the voice actor talk, um, Johnny Hardwick, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that he recorded lines for this. I I don't dislike it as much now, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because I didn't know it was him when I first started, and I was like, this is bad. I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's a bummer, man. Like, I'm glad now that I know. It's like I wouldn't have wanted it done any other way. But it is interesting. You know what I mean? How they I don't know. I don't know what his ailments were towards the end of his life, but that Dale voice just disappeared, really and
Mm-hmm.
truly.
Yeah, no, all sense of that Dell energy was completely gone. And I think it may have been like something to do with their throat or something. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, that entire Dale edge was gone. Now, and that is a character who, over the seasons of King of the Hill, became progressively, their voice got flanderized to an extent. It got higher and higher and higher, and it became
Yeah.
more and more expressive, which I think is a good thing because close to the finale, Dale is just a wild, wacky action bike of a character. But yeah, new Dale, or rather Johnny Hardwick, towards in this new season just did not sound the same, which is so weird because he's going against other voice actors who sound like they have not aged a single day. Uh, Mike Judge as Hank sounds like he's been doing it all these years, and I bet he does. Like anytime someone sees Mike Judge, they say, "Hey, Mike, say I sell propane and propane accessories."
Yeah, that's like a voice of his. I don't know if it's his voice. I'm sure it's put on a little bit, but there's an old fucking Nickelodeon bump or Adult Swim bump or something like that where he essentially drew like a proto version of Hank Hill as a hillbilly, and
Mm,
he's got the same exact voice.
mm.
So
Well, I
he's
think
been doing
that's
this for a long time.
well. There was that character from Beavis and Butthead who was just a prototype Hank Hill as well.
Yeah,
Not that I never really enjoyed Beavis and Butthead, so I
no.
don't know too much about it. Never really hit, honestly.
I can't fucking stand Beavis and Butthead. For a man to make one of my favorite shows of all time and the other one to be something I absolutely abhor, it's
Yeah,
insane, but it's true.
yeah. I mean, Beavis and Butthead just did not resonate in any capacity. I don't understand how it was so popular at the time. It was basically
Nope.
just Mystery Science Theater 3000, but for music videos, and they weren't even like funny observations. They were just like a mid-ass Let's Play from today. I never really enjoyed it. The humor of the actual out and about with Beavis and Butthead reeked of amateur hour, but apparently people loved it. And then he came out with King of the Hill. Well, I know that a lot of that came from Greg Daniels coming in and intervening and saying the character should be shaped this way. So I think there's a lot of Greg Daniels being there to handle this entire thing that made it a lot better. And the actual thing about this entire new season, or the entire thing that kind of puts a new edge on it, is it had a new showrunner. Like, it was not the showrunner was not Mike Judge or Greg Daniels. It was Saladin. I think their name is like Saladin Thompson or something like that.
Interesting.
I don't want to say their name wrong, but it's a new showrunner who I think probably added a lot more to the show because they might have been a fan. Like, you don't want fans to write new things, but it's Saladin K. Patterson, by the way, for the two people who
Okay.
care. Yeah, new showrunner who handled a lot of this. And I think that being someone who understood the humor and being able to take it in a new direction probably made a lot of this flow a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, and I like how clearly like Mike Judge was still involved or whatever, but maybe yeah, I think they probably made the right decision for somebody else to kind of take over just show running itself. Yeah, because I'm 100% sure that Mike Judge and Greg Daniels both have an executive producer credit. So
Mm,
if they didn't like something, they could fucking 100% put their foot down and be like, we're not doing this.
mm.
No ifs, ands, or buts. So it's nice to see that everybody's working in harmony and getting along.
Yeah, well, and it's probably something that if they were the ones peddling it around, trying to get it off the ground, they probably picked Patterson because of their talents,
Yeah,
to
sure,
run it.
sure.
So it's probably something added on to that.
Did you
But
notice in this new season, kind of a clearly an updated, but almost a newer animation style, like a different animation style?
yeah, that first season that first episode's getting used to that was rough.
It I think maybe I'm wrong, but I seem to notice that there were kind of it looked like there were definitely two studios that were fucking around on this,
Hmm.
because there were certain cuts that looked the way I I can best describe it is you could really tell the layers. That when Peggy would move or something, she really didn't look like she looked like she was sitting on top of the background
Hmm.
rather than, being a part of the world. But it wasn't all the time. There were some times where the animation was like just flowing perfectly. So I'm not sure if this was like, it happens, it's whatever, but I send it off to Korea for some cuts, and that's just how their digital animation comes off.
Yeah. Well, there was a swap over. Originally, Film Roman did the first 13 seasons, and this one was animated by 20th Century Television Animation, 20th
Yeah,
Television Animation, handled by basically a subsidiary of Disney or something like that, who
yeah,
I
fair.
am sure are not going to give King of the Hill on Hulu, the best all their time in the world. So I'm betting it's a lot of different people handling different cuts, different aspects of the new season, which is probably why it's like that. Because the first season, from what I was observing, had a lot of just that really minimal limited animation style that kind of pervades some of your lower budget animation as far as adult animation goes.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know. Early on I did notice it looked a little bit off from what I had originally remember or what I remembered. But again, a lot of what I remember from King of the Hill is going to be the early seasons where it was all cell animation, and we all
Yeah,
know it's pretty cell animation is gorgeous.
it is. See, my problem was I literally went from watching season 13 and finishing that on Hulu to letting it run right into season 14. So it
Mm.
was a huge juxtaposition for me. Like immediately, I was like, "Whoa, Peggy Hill is made of like polygons now, and it's fucking me up." She got that PS1 movement.
Oh yeah, Peggy. Oh, Peggy Hill. Oh man.
Yeah, we want to talk about Peggy?
Yeah, we
You want to
might
talk
as
about
well. I
Peggy?
mean, we're gonna skip the rundown. We got extra time.
Yeah, yeah. No rundown today for anybody who's curious. It's been a king of the hill. What more do you want?
I've been depressed this week and have done nothing meaningful.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Uma Musume, and other than that, I'm prepping for a Call of Cthulhu campaign. But you don't want to hear about prep. That's fucking boring. I'll let you know when one of my players dies. So
Yeah.
yeah, Peggy Hill, in my opinion, one of the best characters to ever grace the silver screen. I think she is unbelievably nuanced and interesting to watch. A lot of my favorite episodes from the original series are Peggy Hill episodes.
Mm,
I just think she's fucking fantastic. I know that is not that's not a popular thought. I know Peggy Hill is hated among not just King of the Hill fans, but even fucking casual viewers. They're like, "Oh, she's so annoying," and I'm sitting back going, "That's the point, motherfucker. That's the point. You don't have to like her, but she's amazing." But yeah, so Peggy Hill in the revival, I thought she was good. I wanted more Peggy stuff.
mm.
But towards the end, they dropped in enough Peggy episodes. I really liked the episode with her and Bobby about her having panic attacks going into the MRI machine.
Oh yeah.
Like, it was heartfelt, but it was also fucking hilarious when she has the second panic attack and the doctor's like, "Miss Hill, you're having a panic attack." And she goes, "You think I don't freaking know that? Get me some drugs right now." It's just fucking, she starts screaming at people, dude. It was hilarious. I love Peggy. And I thought, I was worried that they were going to get to the point where they were just, in the first couple episodes, Peggy was just kind of like, "Oh yeah, Boggle, Boggle, oh yeah." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Don't do that to my girl. Don't you fucking do that to my girl." But they fleshed her out a little bit.
Mm.
I loved that her and Hank were fucking nailing a lot in the referee episode. I thought that was a cool little development. From going, they're retired now and they probably loosen up, but it used to be, "Peggy, it's not Tuesday."
Yeah. That is true. That was actually really funny. Was my father wouldn't have approved of a soccer referee.
Which is funny because, again, continuity. I remember back to Peggy's dad when they went to Montana, and I don't know if that man would have disapproved of anything. All he would be like, I don't know much, and I can't tell you much that the mountains can't tell you better.
Yeah, Peggy Hill always jumps between being a beloved character and an absolutely annoying character. It's the absurd amount of arrogance that that pervades her personality. But again, I also get that she is a woman in the southern United States who's probably competing with a misogynist environment, and where she has to be overconfident and where she has to be self-assured. But some of it is just so ridiculous, just how much it goes. And I think one of the moments that kind of personifies her in this reboot is that very episode where she's going to get that MRI, and where when Bobby does come in and actually in that end of that episode talks to her as she's going in, she suddenly gets all that confidence that like that just is a consistency of her, where she says something like, "Oh, Bobby, leave the doctor alone. You know how he was an only child, and you know how selfish they can be." And it's just, when you give her the grounds to stand on equal level, she's always going to put other people down. Her entire bit with, "Oh, that means we beat the Sufanusen phones. Oh, yeah."
Yeah.
It's just, okay.
It's awful. She's fucking terrible, but she's also, and this is going back to the original run, but she also broke every single bone in her body and learned to walk again. You know what I mean? That's the nuance that I love about Peggy, is that while 90% of the time that fucking self-determination and it comes off as arrogance, that other 10% of the time she can perform fucking miracles, man. And like, speaking of Cotton Hill, I love that Cotton was the person to get her out of bed. Like, that's that whole deal is just fantastic.
Yeah. It's it's mostly just the fact that she overindulges in her capabilities. It's the whole I'm amazing with Spanish, and it's that whole Lupe's Revenge episode where you just that breaks people of going, "Oh man, I can't stand Peggy Hill." But I think it's also just a lot of the other things too, where she puts down other characters that kind of makes her obnoxious to the casual viewer like myself. I hate how much she kind of just puts down Luann early on in the early seasons of King of the Hill. But her return in this season is delightful. She was kind of sanded down a lot more. She wasn't as flanderized, a word that is the word of the day for this episode. She wasn't flanderized like she was towards the end, where every other line of dialogue out of her mouth is blatant ignorance.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed her in this in this season. They did only give her so much. They gave her that the episode with Bill, where again indulged in her arrogance, where she decides not to confront Bill after hearing him praise her, which is very Peggy Hill.
Yep.
So I liked that, but yeah, they honestly didn't give her too much. It was kind of just the Hank and Bobby season, honestly.
And I get that, for a show about a father and son trying to bond when they have nothing in common, for that to be where it went, I can't be mad at it.
Yeah, no, I can't either. It honestly kind of got me really emotional this season, since my father did pass this year, and I'm watching a show that we both watched.
Yeah.
And not, like having that wound of my father freshly passing away did hit a lot harder seeing Hank Hill. So.
Sure.
Yeah, a guy bald. Episode 9, the episode where he takes Good Hank, or Hank takes Good Hank to a male-only retreat. The finale, the final season, or the final episode of, Hank reminiscing on when GH was born, and his father saying, "Yeah, you don't hold him for too long. He'll turn out like you if you do that." And then, he drives off in the car. Good Hank drives off in the got waving goodbye, and says, Good Hank says something like, "Not this time, old man, not this time."
Yeah.
And I just started bawling. I got a headache. I was crying so much. Probably dehydrated myself. I let so many tears loose.
Oh, I'm real sorry I'm in a Dale Gribble cosplay when you have to share all this with me. I'm sure this could be better.
Yeah, it's fine. My creative characters in this cutscene. It's just you in a Dale Gribble outfit. Like, I'm sorry, my father being lost like this really hurt me, and my creative character's just standing there, and it's you.
That's not a joke, listeners. I am in a Dale Gribble cosplay from the waist up. Season 1 Dale specifically, because it's really hard to find that shade of brown out in the world.
Yeah, he really is. I am not joking. I offered him to go get a white T-shirt on and put on Kiri's glasses to be Hank Hill, but he declined. I was supposed to bun up my hair so I could be Peggy Hill, but I think that's just his fetish at this point.
Dude, I'm not even kidding. Peggy Hill's hot as fuck.
That checks out for you. That checks out for you. You know how last week you were like, "Oh man, you're so Rupa pilled." Yeah, you're so Peggy pilled.
I am. I
Yeah,
am.
you are
I
Peggy
think. I think Peggy is a better sexual partner than both Nancy and Min, and Min's a freak.
Oh yeah, no. Min is a freak. I like Min. That's my favorite adult woman of the King of the Hill cast.
I respect that.
That's a solid choice.
It's weird that you had to, say adult woman, but hey.
Yeah. Oh man, you know what? Keep that in. It'll be funny.
It is funny. I'm keeping it.
It is funny. It's funny. Yeah, no, that checks out.
And speaking of funny, though, I think this season, the new season, was funny. That was my favorite thing. Like I come to King of the Hill for all the wholesome bullshit and all the good character writing, but I want to giggle. I want to giggle and go, "Ha! Look at him." And there were good bits. There were some solid bits. I know we've already shouted out a bunch, but just one that I'm thinking of now. That kind of is a good microcosm of Hank Hill as a Republican when he says, Obama was born in Hawaii, and that's enough reason to not vote for him there instead of making stuff up. And I love that line because it's like that's the Hank Hill that I know. The sensationalism of today's fucking politics, he would be like, "That's stupid." Here's a completely good, in his mind, good reason to not vote for him, and it's something so stupid.
It was used in the trailers all the time, but this phrase has been whipped out. It's now a part of my permanent lexicon, and that's from the very first episode. The 5 stars. I'm gonna give you 4. That way, you have something to work towards. And I just love that. That is so Hank. Nobody's perfect, but you should aspire to be 5 stars. Then he gets upset in the very next episode or the episode
when he's doing the fucking chore chimp or whatever.
Yeah, and he's getting mad because he's not getting 5 stars because he's not conversing with people. And his whole defense is, I'm just supposed to fix them. I'm not supposed to be a therapist. And it's like the hypocrisy of Hank Hill is perpetual, but he's such a delightful person that it's hard to hate him for this kind of behavior.
I think it's relatable though. And where Hank Hill doesn't have that net to catch him, I think we all have that thing where it's like, if I do it, I know it's going to be done perfect. But even if someone else does it and you look at it and it passes the eye test and everything, in the back of your mind, because you didn't do it, the thing that you're really good at doing or whatever, you're like, this guy could probably improve a little bit. Yeah. It happened with, it's me with editing. You know what I mean? Like, I had to really stop myself from sending you like, all right, and this is what I do when I edit, and don't forget to do this and this and this. I'm like, dude, Matt has done this. He knows what the fuck he's doing. Relax, brother.
Yeah, I just have a different toolkit. My toolkit is called Audition.
Yeah, but it's like you know what you're doing. You're gonna put out a 5-star fucking episode. I don't need to be like, well, let me find some nitpicks so you have something to work towards. But Hank does, because he doesn't have that fucking filter in him.
Yeah, he doesn't. And I think it's also just probably perpetually living with Peggy, who probably has pretty regular criticisms for him to some capacity.
Yeah.
But he's also just an honest guy. He's also just a very sincere man. So it's never anything. It's not meant with malicious intent to say, like, this is not because of anything you did. It's just because it gives you an aspiration to do so. It's just so sincere.
Yeah.
Which I think is the thing about Hank, is he's sincere in his humility. And he is a very sincere person. He can't even lie. That's the kind of person he is. That's the whole bit of the Con divorce episode, is he's got that tell, which everybody knows. He's so consistent about it. The whole polishing his glasses or cleaning his glasses every time he lies.
Yeah.
Which that checks out too. I feel like every time he's uncomfortable, he does polish his glasses early, at least in early King of the Hill stuff. It's delightful. I really like that episode too. I really like the episode 8. The Con getting divorced episode. Actually, let's talk about that. What was your favorite episode of this new season?
That's a really good question. And I think I had an answer, but because it's been 24 hours since I finished watching King of the Hill, my brain's like, yeah, dude, all you can think of is old episodes. Yeah, so I'm looking up the IMDb. I'm looking up and down right now, and I don't know that there's any episode that really, really stands out as like this is by far my favorite. The last two are the highest rated on this platform, and I think with good reason. You know what I mean? The emotional moments in the Good Hank episode were really good. I liked the takedown of the alpha male culture.
Mm.
I really appreciated that. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. I think maybe episode 3 when Hank and Bobby kind of have their interaction. More about where it's like why didn't you use propane? I'll use charcoal. This, that, and the other thing. I thought it was funny how you were dealing with the Japanese dude.
Mm.
I thought that was cool. To talk about a cultural appropriation was kind of neat. You know what I mean? Bobby to
Yeah.
kind of like figure out, I'm making Bobby Hill food. I don't know. I thought it was a pretty solid episode.
Yeah, I really like that episode too. My personal favorites are going to be episode 2, the beer one, because that is again Bobby versus Hank, showing the dichotomy between the two characters. Hank,
Yeah.
who is all about just doing things very traditionally, who are doing things by the book, the certified way that makes things work, and then you've got Bobby, who is a more liberal character, who's all about adding new things, making things different and better, but maybe going to a different pathway that doesn't exactly suit his father, but then kind of conceding that just because his father is different and his father is not hurting anybody in his actions, he's just doing things the way he knows to do it, and he's happy his father is doing things in ways that make him happy, and he's learning to concede his way to
Yeah.
his father, and then learn both of them learn that they're while they can't necessarily agree on beer, they both can enjoy the fact that they're doing it together. I really love that. Probably reading a lot into that because of myself, but whatever.
You're right, though. I like how, through the process of brewing the beer, they ended up brewing beer that each other would like.
Yeah.
I thought that was like, it's nothing fucking too deep or nuanced or whatever, but it's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah, they end up kind of just, it's a nice story, and it's kind of one of the things that, plagues in a good way the early episodes of King of the Hill, where we like different things, but we can both mutually enjoy each other as father and son until you get to the very finale where it's we both love grilling meat and we learned a lot about each other. But episode 9 is going to be my absolute highlight because it is not only is it Hank learning to bond with his half brother GH, which is an interesting plot. It's very interesting because GH served all of nothing in the original was just a prop in the original series.
Yeah.
But now being a teenager and being a full-on adult, like a 50-year-old man, and having a brother who's 16 or 15, that's interesting. That's new. That's nuanced, uncomfortable nuance, but nuanced nonetheless.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Peggy and Bobby subplot, B plot, where
Okay.
Peggy wants.
Yeah,
that's the B plot for that episode.
I forgot that was the B plot in that episode. So that would probably be my favorite episode too. Now that you fucking add that in.
It's a great episode. I love every single element of it. The takedown of this hyper masculine culture of this, men's right activism. It's fun stuff.
I have the nads.
I have.
Do these mean nothing to you? Like, that was so fucking funny, dude. Do these mean nothing to you in full sincerity?
Oh man, I loved that too.
I'm the only one here who still has a wife, and everybody else is like, ah, shit.
But this episode after that was also fun just because of Buck Strickland. I mean, you put a Buck Strickland episode on the television, I'm gonna watch that all the way just because Buck is such a piece of shit.
And it showed Peggy's competence there. You know what I mean? Like that's for me, a Peggy Hill fan, for her to be able to shine in the way that only Peggy can by almost royally completely fucking up and then just somewhere out of her back pocket pulling out an I win now card.
Yeah.
That's Peggy Hill all day, baby. I love that shit.
And it also highlights my favorite thing about Hank, and that's that stick-to-itiveness. Well, we still got to do this job, so I'm still going to get these hogs for everybody.
Yep.
but still plagued with self doubts, which is something I love about Hank. Is the fact that he believes what he believes, but he's willing to concede that what he thinks and what he believes is the right way may not be the right way. That's why I say he's like conservative minded, but like believes in conservative values, but isn't conservative minded. You know,
Yeah.
he's a guy who's willing to look at other options if they necessarily don't fit his worldview, just because he wants to always consider other avenues, which I think is, you know, it's more moderate centrist minded.
Centrist, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right, dude. You're 100% right. And his biggest problem is he hates admitting it, but he
Yeah.
will eventually. You know what I mean? When push comes to shove, right comes to wrong. I mean, the man joined a fucking co-op in I think the season 13. So like, you know,
Yeah, he's just a sincere guy. He's just a very sincere guy who's willing to admit when he makes mistakes, and that's why, even though like, that's why I love him so much. Is he's got such like good dad energy, I guess.
yeah, dude. I love King of the Hill, man. Like, I am glad that they came out with this new season.
Mm-hmm.
I had a good time. Out of all the shows for them to, out of all the things that I love for them to revive, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want Evangelion Rebuild to Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want any of that shit. I really do not. But this is like, all right, we still have some stuff to tell. And it's one of those it's one of those IPs where it's like, it's as serious as you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to laugh at Hank Hill having a narrow urethra and, you know, loving George Bush, then you can. But if you want to, you know, dig into it like we have and really look at the nuance of the beer brewing competition and what that says about Bobby and Hank's relationship, I don't think you're wasting your time either. And it's good that they've kept that. You know, that new showrunner is killing it. I hope they do pull through with the season 2, and I'm excited to see where it goes. You know, I am going to be mad if certain decisions are made. You know, I mean, like at this point, I need to see Bobby and Connie be together for the whole 10 episodes. You know, I need to see them be in a relationship. I don't know if that's just me. I know you already mentioned your thoughts on that, but like that's where I'm coming from. You know, I don't want the classic sitcom trappings of we need content.
Mm-hmm.
I want King of the Hill to go in with what I want to see. You know, give me some fucking fan service while still staying true to who you are.
Well, I think with this announcement of there being planned only 2 seasons, I think it's meant to be a finite, you know, epilogue to the entirety of the series, you know? Because it's Hulu animation. Hulu doesn't produce, you know, we only got 10 episodes in this season. If they do another season, I am willing to bet it's going to be another 10 episode one, just because it's not profitable. Animation is not as profitable as just live action slop. So I don't think it's going to be that, like, you're going to get your 10 episodes and you're probably going to get a nice little bow on everything. I don't think this is going to continue indefinitely. At least I hope not. I just love what this season has offered to us just in these 10 episodes. And that is just a reconnection with old characters that we've already met or that we already know, characters that have been well defined. I love that being kind of like what I would consider a revival epilogue, just to show us what happens after the end. I don't want it to be Futurama, where Futurama had, and I have not seen anything of the Hulu revival, just because Futurama ended on one of the best finales of all time.
4 times.
4 times. Every time I was like, this is a fantastic finale. I hope no more comes out. And then Futurama puts out another mid-season and then one good finale episode. I said it, Futurama fans. I said it. You know what? Everything after season 3.
Yeah. Ooh, that's bold. That's bold.
No, just not as good as the first 2 seasons.
Okay. No. All right. I'll let you have your opinion. I won't push back.
I'll have my correct opinion. I will.
Mostly because I don't have the innate knowledge like I do for King of the Hill. I like Futurama. It's one of my favorites. I just don't. I mean, I'll have a King of the Hill off with the best of them. You know what I mean? Let's do it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Futurama is one of those shows that I've seen every single episode, but I've not seen every single episode twice, like I probably have with King of the Hill. You know?
Yeah.
So, and it's one of those things. Like every time a new season came out for Futurama, I just did not care because it ending the way it did, it just didn't make sense for me for more of it to come out, you know, except to just satisfy gluttonous people who want more content. It just doesn't make sense. King of the Hill getting more and doing a time shift, doing a flash forward, going Shippuden as it were, makes sense to me.
Yeah,
But
I'm with you.
but these new seasons of Hulu, these new Hulu seasons, why are they here? Honestly, the Comedy Central seasons, I'm talking out of my ass. Some of them were okay, but they're not to the same like they're not like the Fox episodes, like those first 3 seasons,
Yeah.
I
Did
just
they end
calls
up
them like a season.
just to keep on the tangent? Did they end up rehiring Bender's voice actor? Because I know they weren't going to.
I don't know. I have not seen any of the Hulu stuff.
That's fair. All right, never mind.
You know what? Now you got me curious. Why would they hire him? What did he do?
Oh, it wasn't a thing that he did. I think it was he wanted too much money.
Oh no, he did. I'm looking at it right now. He did come back. John DiMaggio.
He did. Okay, yeah, because I remember fans were like, "Dude, no, like he's alive, he's healthy. Pay him the fucking money, you douche, or don't do the show." So I didn't know if they followed through with that or not.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's such an iconic voice too. I mean, he's Jake the dog from Adventure Time. He is an outstanding voice actor.
He sounds just like that too, dude. I've seen some con panels and where he's just talking and he sounds like he just really has to fucking do like minor tonal shifts to pop into Jake the dog. It's fucking great.
Honestly, dude's got the voice and the build that he could have been a wrestler. Like I could hear I could hear Bender cutting a promo for WWE.
Oh yeah,
and it would be a good.
He's got that gravel. He got that gravel in his voice. He's got that oomph, baby.
He was also a really good racist in Final Fantasy X. Waka was really good.
Oh, Waka's a racist?
Yeah, Waka doesn't like the Albed. He makes his whole thing, his whole character. His whole character art is, I don't like these Albed people because they're thieves. And he goes, wait a minute, they're people just like me.
Okay, you know who I am now as a 30-year-old. When I was fucking 15, the last time I played Final Fantasy X, you think I was like, ooh, character story and nuance. No, I was like, look at this fucking giant-ass werewolf I just summoned. Oh shit, he just pushed the other monster into the cavern.
Yeah, Final Fantasy X. That's the game of all time for me.
Yeah, hell yeah, buddy.
Oh yeah. We got anything else we want to say, or are we winding down?
I think we're kind of winding down. You know what I mean? I at this point, I would definitely be retreading old tires. So I don't need to do that.
Yeah, there's only 10 episodes, and we sometimes stretch 6-episode OVAs into an hour and a half, and it's 10 episodes. It's a comedic show. What are we going to do except say, remember when this is funny, isn't it? This is funny. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear us break down jokes. We're not even funny ourselves. Why would we do that?
And I know I didn't do enough research of like really taking the time to like map out what I wanted to talk about the fucking. I didn't do a clear and sweet video. Let's put it that way of King of the Hill worth of prep.
A clear and sweet video, almost, if you could go to godisallolly.com to watch those or something.
You can do that. But yeah, I didn't do while I think I could have fun doing it if I liked video editing, I did not do a frame-by-frame breakdown of the nuance and visual storytelling of King of the Hill.
So I just bring my best to the table and you just bring nothing. Cool.
Okay, I wouldn't say what I brought was nothing.
I am clearly dressed as Del Dribble. You are being very mean to me, sir.
I wore fucking aviators inside for like an hour straight, and that hurts my eyes.
Yeah, okay, you know what? You brought a lot to the table. I'm just being mean because, gosh darn it, I just don't know. I just don't know how to talk to you, boy. It's just hard because of my account of my narrow urethra.
Are we giving ratings? Are we playing this just like we're putting a Mal entry on this? How do you want to do this? I don't know.
You know what? Why not? People want the score. Let's give them a score. What about you? What are you thinking?
This is weird, man. I mean, original King of the Hill is a 10 out of 10. Just for me on a personal level. I'd say off of that, without taking the time to rank all the other shows in this category, this season's probably a solid 9 out of 10. Like I said in the beginning, I think overall some of the decisions that were made weren't my favorite, but they weren't my decisions to make, and none of them ruined King of the Hill for me. They were still able to execute and provide me with a very, very good, very heartfelt, very funny 10 episodes of King of the Hill. Maybe I'm just giving it a 9 out of 10 because of the fucking hipster boomer in me, where it's like, well, it's not from 2008, so I don't know, man. But that's kind of where my heart's lying right now. My brain might tell it differently in a year. Who knows? That happens.
Well, I so far think that this first season, or this new season of the revival, I think it's perfect. Honestly, the flaws I have with it are minuscule. They're just me being pitnicky about it. And I'm honestly, when the worst I can say is just that the animation doesn't look sublime, I think that's telling you that I have just nothing but pitnicks about the whole thing. I enjoy the comedy. I enjoy the characters. It basically continues that upward trend of kind of reestablishing King of the Hill as being how it was maybe in the first few seasons, being high quality, being very character driven, being very sincere with its humor. It's always what I was saying earlier. It's a show with a soul and humanity to it. It's never to the point of where the gag is most important. It's always that the characters are the most important thing. And I think when you've got character driven comedy, it always shines through. And so I think it's a great entry. I think it's perfect. 10 out of 10 from me. And I might watch it again and then I might say something else. But so far, I think it's a solid 10 out of 10 from me. But a rewatch might redefine that. I don't know.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. But great stuff. Love it. Love it. Can't wait for more. Unfortunately, you're going to have to wait probably a couple of years or so. I don't know.
IMDb has it slated for 2026.
Damn, I got to live another fucking year. Come on.
Yeah, it's another 10 episodes. But again, this is all just, I'm sure, very preliminary judging, assuming, looking ahead, hoping.
Yeah, well, it's probably Hulu. Hulu's been chugging out those Futurama seasons, too. I thought there was only one Hulu season. There's apparently 3.
Holy shit.
I know, right? I thought I was just going to bang one season out just so I can be well-informed, but apparently I got to watch 30 episodes. My life is too hard. Anyways, yeah, that's been King of the Hill. We love it. You probably love it if you're listening to this. It's not technically anime, but you know what? It's got the anime spirit. It's got the anime heart. It has a Japanese person in it. Junichiro counts, all right?
He did show up for 2 seconds of screen time.
He did. That was a fun. I love all the callbacks in this season.
Yeah.
Fun callbacks all around. If you've seen episodes of King of the Hill, you'll get callbacks that are going to delight you to no end. And speaking of things that delight you to no end, we're going to be talking about ourselves. We're going to go on a filler arc where we're going to find the reason for life, the universe, and everything that matters because we've got to do it. And it's really important to our sensei, and they told us to do it. But we don't think it's really going to matter. It's a filler arc. The autumn winds are starting to blow in, and so the citizens of Japan are starting their tradition of Tsukimi, the Harvest Moon Festival. Whether you're in the land of the rising sun or not, that makes it a perfect time to enjoy some tasty seasonal snacks, courtesy of our BFFs for life, Tokyo Treat.
Tokyo Treat are the leaders in masterfully crafted Japanese snack boxes, and this month's Snacktastic Moonfest only serves to prove why. They're delivering a smorgasbord of flavors you won't find anywhere else but Japan, including chewy mochi treats and roasted sweet potato snacks that are sure to bring Tsukimi home to you.
Each box is packed with a vast assortment of snacks, so you'll always find something new to love, and this month is obviously no exception. We have Mont Blanc Kit Kats, a personal favorite of mine, that combine luscious white chocolate with satisfying chestnut flavor. We have Fall Fruits Jelly that feature adorable Pokemon, and we also have bold, crispy seaweed salt potato chips. Those are just a few of the snacks you have to look forward to when you have Tokyo Treat headed to your home.
But you might be like me. I just found out that I'm allergic to any snack with papaya that specifically came from Madura Island in Indonesia. Any other island, and it seems to be okay, but I need to know if I'm snacking safely. Tokyo Treat has me, and by association, you, covered, because each box contains a booklet with all the dietary information you need to know so you're always snacking with safety, and even lets you know if something is vegetarian just in case that's your deal.
I, however, have no allergies except the one that I have to inferior snack boxes, so that means I'm safe because I eat Tokyo Treat. That said, each booklet contains a plethora of fun facts, so I can learn and hopefully not be ignorant. It's a long work, but Tokyo Treat is going to get it done. Like, did you know eggs are kind of a featured food for tsukimi? Pizza Huts in Japan even serve a special pizza topped with eggs for the occasion. I'm willing to bet it's because they look like the moon, and I learned that all from the booklet, and you could be learning that from the booklet too.
We think Tokyo Treat is legitimately the best in the business, and they've even offered us a special discount code so you can save $5 off your first box and get snacking as soon as possible. That coupon code is Anime Brothers, all one word. Just enter it at checkout and you won't have to spend your nights staring forlornly at the moon, because soon you'll have the great company of a Tokyo Treat snack box.
Typing is really hard though, but we have you covered because in the show notes of whatever platform you're listening to this ad on, we have a handy, maybe even dandy link that you can just tap or click on, and you'll be taken right to Tokyo Treat's website with that code already applied. We're just doing the work for you because we care.
And even if you don't like snacks, Tokyo Treat boxes with their sublime packaging make excellent gifts. You can get one for your aunt who has watched all of Gintama 3 times, get one for your mechanic who has a very obvious Japan obsession, or you can just get one for yourself and call it a gift for yourself. It's fine, we won't tell.
We won't, we promise, we absolutely won't. And we love Tokyo Treat, and we're sure that you will too, so don't hesitate to use that coupon code Anime Brothers, all one word, at checkout, or use that link in the description of this episode so you can bite with the best, that best being, obviously, Tokyo Treat.
Thank you again to Tokyo Treat for helping out and partnering for this episode. Now let's get back to it.
Welcome to the filler arc. The reason for living is there is none. All right, that's been the filler arc. All right, so now we don't have anything to talk about. Let's just go ahead and go to the Patreon rundown.
You need a rundown of your clients? Can you get that to me?
When did you need that rundown by?
You started on that rundown yet?
Welcome to the Patreon rundown, where we answer the questions our patrons give us. And if you liked how short the filler arc was, and you're going to love this rundown because it's about the same length. We got 2 whole questions coming up from beloved friends of the show. We're going to start it off with Cappy K. Audrey. Audrey asks, which fighting game has your favorite art style, modern or otherwise?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question, and one that I'd like to dig more into, because I think fighting game art styles are cool, and I've been getting much more into pixel art over the years. You know, the older I get, the more I can really appreciate a good pixel. So I don't, unfortunately, I don't have any of the old school pixel art options, but Dragon Ball Fighter Z, bro. Holy shit. Maybe I'm probably pretty basic talking. I get it. All right. But like, I love the way that looks. It's so goddamn stylized and cool. And it's so different from anything that Dragon Ball has ever looked before, while keeping keeping the spirit and just being Dragon Ball Z. Yeah. Wholeheartedly, whole-cocked through and through.
What I've heard about Dragon Ball Fighters is actually that the art design for that entire was not to make it look like the original show, but to make it look like the show as you remember it. And that's kind of why it looks so much more streamlined. I mean, like, we all know that Dragon Ball Z did not look like Fighters, but Fighters is so polished. It's such a great looking game, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%, man. Is the cop-out answer to say Smash for this? Because it's just like all the art styles?
Well, then you've got to say which one, because Brawl's got those thicker outlines. You've got that like lens flare style of not Ultimate, but the one Smash 4. Smash 4.
Oh yeah, yep.
So you got to pick one. You can't cop out, because then you got to say, do you like the polygonal style of the original? You can't phone this in.
You're right. I'm gonna stick with Fighter Z though, 100%.
That's a good answer. That's an answer. I like that answer. I don't know why I'm being difficult. I was trying to think of this while you were talking, because I love fighting games, but I can't play too many fighting games, because then if I start to I get locked in and I start losing, then I don't play them no more.
Yeah,
I'm a little baby. But I'm gonna actually have to say a game that I've only played so much of, and that's going to be Guilty Gear. I think Guilty Gear's style, the anime stylings of Strive, is sublime. It looks gorgeous. It looks like you're playing an anime. honestly, I've always loved, and I guess this is just the Arc System Works podcast because
I guess so.
yeah, because I also really loved BlazBlue when I was playing BlazBlue. I thought BlazBlue looked cool as a teenager. I thought the art style in it was super cool. But yeah, Strive has got to have one of my favorite art styles. Just watching people play Strive is such a cool. It's so cool. I really want to play Guilty Gear Strive. I wish it would go to a manageable price, but so I could play. They just added Lucy from Cyberpunk Edge Runners into the game, and I want on that now. I want on that yesterday. That is a character I want to main, and I'm going to force myself to be good with if I ever play that game.
I respect that, dude. That's fucking cool.
Have you seen some of this stuff from Guilty Gear Strive?
I'm sure I've seen it in passing. I can't really think of any like alts that I've seen or anything pop off, but I know they're the same people who do Fighter Z, right?
Yeah, Arc System.
Yeah. So it's very similar, like flair, if nothing else. You know what I mean? I'm sure I've caught some in passing, but I just can't think of. Isn't one of the dudes in the characters like last name like Bad Guy in that or something?
Yeah, Soul Bad Guy.
Soul Bad Guy. That's fucking sick.
It's not come out yet, but the new Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls has a really good looking art style.
Ooh.
It looks, and I'm not sure, I may be wrong. It's also an Arc System Works.
Of course it is.
It's just the Arc Systems Works podcast, unfortunately. It looks like they took inspiration from My Hero Academia to do these character designs. I think it's making them look better. It's making these Marvel characters look so much more stylized, and I'm super excited for it as well.
You bring up Marvel, and that makes me think like coolest art style walking through the arcade at 8 years old was Marvel vs. Capcom 2. 100%.
You are so right. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 has such cool character designs.
What was the cactus guy, dude? What was his fucking deal? He was like a gourd or something, man? He was just chilling, dude.
He was just
awful
chilling.
Fucking D-tier character, but he was there. He showed up.
Thugging it out, as it were. Cool game. But as a kid, you're absolutely right. The cells, the actual animation, not cells, the sprites and stuff in 2, really cool.
So cool, man. The ult, man. You'd see a guy that you'd never seen from a Capcom game pull out like some fucking giant gunbusters fucking gun. And you're like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. And the whole screen would be an energy blast. And then you'd still lose the fight.
And what could you do about that when that hits you?
Oh, nothing.
There's nothing you can do about it. I'm also I'm so stoked on that new Marvel fighting game. I'm stoked on trying to see if I can play Guilty Gear Strive now. Well, all right. We got one more question. It's from our dear friend Alex, who gave me their Hulu. Alex asks, first, second, or third person?
Okay, what is second person?
You talk to me. You sit at your mic and you talk. It's you. It's like you. Like everything's happening to you. Like a choose your own adventure book.
Oh, huh. It's weird.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. Not that one. I don't like that. I don't like thinking about that. Hurts my brain. Third person for video games. First person for the few books that I've read years ago.
I personally really enjoy a good third-person book. I know that there's a lot of like TikTok girlies on Book Talk or whatever who say that they can't get into books unless they're first person. I love a good third-person book that it can ingrain the character's thoughts in a more well-written way. First person can sometimes irritate me because you'll get people who are just absolutely dickheads. And I'm supposed to like them. I'm supposed to get their perspective and care about it. Absolutely not. I'm not going to do that. You can't make me book. But a good third-person book is definitely the way to go. Third-person novel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I dig it.
I also like choose your own adventure books.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
I guess just in that context, second person is okay. But in another context, I don't know. I don't want a book talking to me. What are you doing, book?
Book, what are you doing? You can't make decisions for me. I wouldn't do that, book. I wouldn't do that.
No, I didn't take my hand off the page. You saw, right?
You saw it, Lois. I didn't take my hand off the page.
I saw it, Peter.
I think I'm going to follow the knight. Ah! It was me as a kid. Yeah, I think I'm going to look under the bed. Mom, I didn't. You saw me, Mom. You saw me. I didn't do that. All right. Well, that has been the Patreon rundown. Not a whole lot. We just mostly talked about King of the Hill. It's almost as if the podcast is actually going to do what it says for once.
No
But
way.
yeah, no way. But that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm going to head it out to our closer right now. My shift is over.
Okay, well, hopefully you all enjoyed this episode. Well, I don't know. You're mowing your lawn on your riding lawnmower, keeping it nice, inch and a half tall, or maybe you're out in the back alley with your friends, listening to this podcast with the group. If you're not, though, why don't you tell a friend about this podcast? Maybe they're big King of the Hill fans, and you've been like, "Hey, I want to get you into anime." This is the door. This is how you do it.
This is the
if
door.
You wanna, this is it. If you want to hang out with us in between episodes, join the Discord. Link is in the show notes. If you want to go above and beyond to support us in a monetary way, patreon.com/Anime Brothers Podcast. $1 gets you into everything we do for patrons. Rate and review us on Apple and Spotify. Follow us on your preferred podcast platform so you never miss an episode. And go check out Maddie's blog at animisery.com. Read about it. All right, yeah, that's all I got. So I tell you what, I've been Earthworm.
And I've been Matt.
And we've been the Anime Brothers Podcast. Goodbye, everyone.
He got a girl from Lao. Those are the princesses of Asia.